I'm Terry, and as I sit here reflecting on my journey in the world of finance, I'm reminded of the day the board unanimously appointed me as the CEO of Summit Financial Group. It was a moment of triumph, but it was also the culmination of a long and arduous battle. A year has passed since then, and Summit now manages over $4.3 billion in assets. Our client base has diversified dramatically, with significant growth among women entrepreneurs, first-generation professionals, and family businesses in transition. Lucy, a major client who once built her fortune from scratch, serves on our board of directors. Her foundation funds financial literacy programs that reach thousands of underserved communities each year. And then there's Ryan, who now runs our Asian division, which has expanded to 3 offices. We speak monthly by video conference, and our conversations, though still sometimes tentative, are no longer hostile. But it wasn't always like this. To understand how I got here, we need to go back to when I was practically invisible at Summit Financial Group. I grew up in a small town. My parents were hard-working factory workers. They instilled in me the values of hard work and integrity, but they didn't have the means to provide me with a silver spoon. I worked my way through a local community college while taking on odd jobs to make ends meet. After that, I attended night classes to complete my degree in finance. When I joined Summit, I knew I had to work twice as hard as others. For 3 years, I diligently built client relationships, taking on the weekend appointments that others shied away from. I learned every detail of my clients' lives, remembered their children's birthdays and anniversaries. I was good at my job, but I didn't expect to rise through the ranks. In an industry where connections and pedigree often mattered more than skills, a girl like me from a working-class background was supposed to be content with answering phones and scheduling meetings. Then, 6 months ago, Ryan arrived. He was the son of Mr. Thompson, the founder of Summit. Mr. Thompson was in his 70s and was gradually stepping back from the day-to-day operations of the firm. Ryan had an MBA from an Ivy League university, but he lacked practical experience. From day one, he showed an air of entitlement. He took the reserved parking space with his name already painted on it. By the second week, he had the corner office with a view of the city skyline. In meetings, he would talk over women, take credit for others' ideas, and assign the best potential clients to his friends from business school. Most of the staff quickly adapted to his presence, laughing at his jokes and agreeing with his every suggestion. I, however, continued to focus on my work. Maybe that's why he noticed me. I wasn't part of his clique. One day, I got a stroke of luck. Lucy, a wealthy entrepreneur who had built her $7 million fortune from nothing, specifically requested me after hearing me speak at a free community workshop on financial planning for retirees. It was the largest potential account I had ever been assigned. But little did I know that this would mark the beginning of a series of troubles. The next morning, I arrived at work to find my desk drawer slightly open and my client files rearranged. My computer password was mysteriously reset the following day. Then came the whispers. She's only getting these accounts because she has an affair with a client, some said. I heard she's related to one of the board members, others whispered. None of it was true, but once rumors start, the truth often takes a back seat. When news spread around the office about Lucy's account, Ryan transformed from merely insufferable to actively malicious. During meetings, he would interrupt my presentations with baseless corrections. He would brush against my desk, knocking my papers to the floor. When I spoke, he would check his watch loudly until I stopped talking. His tactics worked. My coworkers stopped eating lunch with me, and my weekly reports went unnoticed. It was clear that siding with me would mean facing his wrath. I quietly documented every single incident, every email, and every interaction. It wasn't for a lawsuit, those rarely end well for people like me. It was for protection, a safety net in case things got worse. Mr. Thompson, once a brilliant leader, was now less involved in the day-to-day affairs of the company. He trusted his son wholeheartedly, not realizing that Ryan was driving away talented employees and focusing only on high-profile accounts to boost his own reputation. Despite the constant threats and harassment, I prepared meticulously for my meeting with Lucy. I researched her business history, developed 3 potential investment strategies, and arrived at the office 30 minutes early on a Saturday to ensure everything was perfect. I adjusted the meeting room's temperature to be slightly warmer, as older clients often prefer. I had her favorite tea, green tea with a slice of lemon, ready. She arrived precisely on time. A petite woman with striking gray hair and sharp blue eyes that missed nothing. She wore simple yet elegant clothes and a single diamond necklace. There were no ostentatious displays of wealth, and I liked her immediately. "You must be Terry," she said with a firm handshake. "I am. It's a pleasure to meet you properly, Miss Anderson," I replied. "Please, call me Lucy," she said, as she settled into the chair I held for her. I don't believe in formality when it comes to honest conversations. We spent the first hour discussing her financial goals. She was thorough and detail-oriented. Unlike many wealthy clients, she asked in-depth questions about each of my recommendations, testing whether I truly understood the strategies or was just reciting memorized scripts. "Your workshop was different from others I've attended," she said as we reviewed the third option. "Most advisors talk down to retirees." "You didn't," she added. "Financial planning shouldn't be a mystery," I replied. "My father lost his life savings to a so-called advisor who used complex jargon to confuse him." "Clarity is key," I explained. Something in her expression changed. She studied me with newfound interest. "Tell me about your background, Terry, not the one in your company biography," she requested. I hesitated only for a moment. I grew up in a small town. My parents worked in a factory, and money was always tight. College wasn't in the picture until my high school teacher convinced me that I had an aptitude for finance. I worked my way through community college and then took night classes to finish my degree. "It wasn't the typical path into this industry," I said. "No," she said with a faint smile, "it's definitely not typical." As our meeting was about to end, she asked if we could meet again the following week to continue our discussion. I readily agreed, saying that I'd prepare more detailed projections based on our conversation. "There's one more thing," Lucy said as she gathered her belongings. "I'd like Mr. Thompson to join us next time. I know he's less involved these days, but I'd prefer his presence for the formal agreement." My stomach tightened. Mr. Thompson rarely attended client meetings unless Ryan deemed them important, which meant Ryan would be there too. But I kept my composure and replied, "Of course, I'll arrange it." 2 days later, I received a calendar invitation for the follow-up meeting. Mr. Thompson had accepted, and so had Ryan. That same afternoon, Ryan cornered me in an empty corridor. His fingers dug into my arm as he hissed, "Stay away from Lucy's account if you know what's good for you. That $7 million belongs in experienced hands, mine. Keep interfering, and I'll make sure you're out of here by the end of the month." I met his stare and smiled slightly. "Okay," I said calmly. My response seemed to catch him off guard. He expected tears, panic, or even begging, but not the quiet determination in my eyes. Confusion flashed across his face before he sneered and walked away, his expensive leather shoes clicking on the polished floor. After he left, I returned to my desk and continued preparing for the meeting. Inside, my mind was racing. Why was Lucy so insistent on meeting Mr. Thompson? And what would Ryan do to undermine me before then? The day of the meeting finally arrived. I wore my best suit, a black pantsuit that I had saved for months to buy. It wasn't designer, but it was well made and professional. I arrived an hour early and reviewed my presentation one last time. Lucy arrived next, dressed similarly to our first meeting. When Mr. Thompson appeared with Ryan hovering behind him, her expression hardened. "I requested a private meeting," she said firmly. Mr. Thompson waved it off. My son represents our future leadership. He attends all major client discussions. Very well, she replied, sitting down. She then turned to me. Terry, before we start, I need to explain why I specifically chose to work with you. Ryan smirked behind his father, clearly misunderstanding her intentions. I felt a knot in my stomach. This meeting was not going as expected. 25 years ago, Lucy began, her eyes fixed on mine. I found myself in a desperate situation. I was diagnosed with a serious illness, and the medical bills drained my savings. I lost my home, my dignity, and I was on the verge of becoming homeless. I was 60 years old at the time. My heart sank as I listened. I spent my days at a local diner to stay warm. A young girl who worked there noticed that I wore the same clothes every day. Instead of judging me, she invited me to stay with her in her tiny apartment. She shared her meager resources with me for months. She worked double shifts so that I could eat and helped me apply for government benefits that I didn't even know existed. When I finally got back on my feet and found a place of my own, she refused any repayment. Her voice wavered slightly as she continued. She believed in me when no one else did. I never knew her last name, and we lost touch when she moved away for college. But at your workshop last month, I recognized her voice immediately. Terry, it was you. The air seemed to leave the room. Mr. Thompson looked between us, his confusion turning to understanding. Ryan's smirk vanished, and his face turned pale. Lucy continued, what I never told anyone was what happened to the small online business I started after I recovered. It grew exponentially, and my actual net worth is now closer to $24 million. I didn't choose your firm because of its reputation, Mr. Thompson. I chose it because of her. And now, I've learned how she's been treated here. Mr. Thompson turned to me. Is this true? Before I could answer, Ryan tried to cut in, but Mr. Thompson snapped, I wasn't talking to you. Yes, I said simply. I didn't recognize Ms. Anderson right away. It was a long time ago, and I've helped many people over the years. But when she mentioned the diner during our first meeting, I started to remember. Mr. Thompson removed his glasses and rubbed the bridge of his nose. Why didn't you say anything? Would it have made a difference? I asked quietly. Would it have changed how I'm valued here? The silence that followed was answer enough. Lucy placed a folder on the table. I've come today with two proposals. The first is that I'd like Terry to manage my accounts exclusively. She slid the folder across the table. The second is more substantial. My company, True Ventures, is considering moving all of its assets, amounting to $24 million, to your firm. But it's conditional. The room fell silent. First, Terry should receive full commission and management authority for my accounts. Second, she should be promoted to senior advisor immediately, with the appropriate salary and benefits. Third, I want a written acknowledgement of the harassment she's endured and an assurance that it won't happen again. Mr. Thompson closed the folder carefully. Ms. Anderson, while I appreciate your loyalty to Terry, our firm has established protocols for advancement. Lucy interrupted him. How many of your current senior advisors have outperformed every metric for 3 consecutive years? How many brought in new clients during the economic downturn last year when others were losing them? And how many have client retention rates above 90%? Mr. Thompson's expression confirmed the answer. Your firm's protocols have failed to recognize exceptional talent. They've maintained a comfortable hierarchy, Lucy said as she stood up. I'll give you 48 hours to consider my proposal before I look elsewhere. After Lucy left, Mr. Thompson asked me to wait while he had a private talk with Ryan. Through the glass walls of the conference room, I watched their intense discussion. Ryan's face turned red as he pointed at me repeatedly, while Mr. Thompson remained calm, occasionally shaking his head. 20 minutes later, Mr. Thompson returned alone. "How long has my son been undermining you?" he asked without preamble. "Since he arrived," I replied, and then added, "I have documentation." His eyebrows rose. "Show me." I retrieved my laptop and opened a folder labeled Administrative Records. Inside were date-stamped screenshots of altered client files, recordings of meetings where my ideas were later claimed by others, and a spreadsheet tracking every instance of interference. Mr. Thompson's expression darkened as he scrolled through the evidence. "Why didn't you come to me earlier?" he asked. "Would you have believed me over your son?" I countered. His silence was the response I expected. The next morning, Ryan was waiting for me by my desk. "Impressive performance yesterday," he sneered. "Very touching story. Do you really think one wealthy old lady can change anything? This is still my father's company, and I'm still his son." His smile was cold. "Good luck with your promotion." For the next 2 weeks, nothing changed. My desk remained in the same place. There was no email announcing my promotion, and Lucy's account wasn't officially assigned to me. My coworkers whispered that she had taken her money elsewhere and that the whole story had been exaggerated. Then, one Tuesday morning, the facilities team came to my desk with a cart. "We're moving you today," the manager said. "Where to?" I asked. "Third floor, east corner," he replied. The third floor was where senior management was located, and the east corner office had been empty since our former investment director retired. As the elevator doors opened on the third floor, I saw Mr. Thompson waiting in the hallway. "Your office is ready," he said. "And so is your team." "My team?" I repeated, stunned. "Yes, for junior advisors, an administrative assistant, and a research analyst. They're waiting to meet you," he explained. I followed him down the hallway, past curious onlookers. The office was 3 times the size of my old workspace, with windows on 2 sides. A new nameplate read, "Senior Wealth Manager. MS. Anderson's accounts have been fully transferred to you, Mr. Thompson continued. She's also referred 3 other clients to you personally. Their combined assets exceed $35 million. I was trying to process what was happening when I asked, "And Ryan?" Mr. Thompson's expression turned grim. "My son will be focusing on developing our international division. He's leaving for our London office next week. Over the next few months, I carefully built my team, hiring people based on their talent rather than their background. We attracted new clients, many of whom had been overlooked by other advisors, small business owners, first-generation professionals, and widows who were tired of being patronized. 3 months after my promotion, Lucy invited me to her home for tea. Her house was a modest mansion in a quiet neighborhood. Inside, the decor was comfortable rather than ostentatious. The only obvious luxury was her extensive art collection featuring works by local artists. "You seem surprised," she said as she poured tea into delicate cups. "I expected something more." "Grand," I admitted. She smiled. "I never saw the point of extravagance. My wealth is meant to create change, not to impress others." We sat in her sunlit living room. "I've been watching you struggle to help others while facing obstacles. I see myself in you, not just because of our shared past but also in your determination to succeed on your own merit," she said. She put her teacup down and looked at me. "I want to start a new wealth management firm, and I want you to be my partner." I nearly choked on my tea. "What?" I asked. "A firm specifically designed for clients who are often overlooked by traditional advisors, women, minorities, and self-made professionals who don't have inherited wealth. People like us," she explained with enthusiasm. "But I don't have the capital," I said. "I do," she interrupted. "I'm not offering charity, Terry. I'm offering a partnership. Your expertise and approach, combined with my capital and connections, could make this a success. What about Summit? I asked. Mr. Thompson just promoted me. After being forced to recognize your value, do you really think things have truly changed there? She asked. I thought about the senior management meetings where I was still interrupted, the clients who requested male advisors despite my track record, and the subtle ways my success was attributed to luck rather than skill. No, I admitted. Not fundamentally. Change rarely comes from within established systems, Lucy said. Sometimes, you need to build something new. That night, I couldn't sleep. Starting over meant risking everything I had worked for. If we failed, I'd be blacklisted from major firms. But if we succeeded? The next morning, I requested a meeting with Mr. Thompson. His assistant scheduled it for later that week, but I received a call that afternoon saying he could see me immediately. When I entered his office, he looked at me knowingly. Lucy Anderson made you an offer, he stated. I didn't bother denying it. How did you know? I asked. Because she made me one too. She's offering to buy a controlling interest in Summit. If I sell, she wants you to run it, he said. My head was spinning. And if you don't? I asked. Then you'll leave and take our best clients with you. She's very thorough, he replied. I haven't decided yet, I said honestly. Mr. Thompson nodded slowly. My father built this firm from the ground up. I expanded it, and I always assumed Ryan would take it further. But I've watched you these past few months. You build genuine relationships. People trust you because you're trustworthy, not because of your